chant a little bit of Maha Mantra.
Okay, you may do that.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So when I was chanting, there's a beautiful view through my window. So if you don't mind, I will show you that.
Yes, please.
And there's a darshan. First, I'll give darshan of the view. The sun is setting.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, the sun is setting and it's so nice. But what's even more beautiful is the source of all that beauty right here. Giriraj Maharaja ki.
Jai.
So a little darshan.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, the little darshan never hurts.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it puts everything in perspective.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, dear devotees, today we have His Grace ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu, who is going to be speaking to us, or I should say with us. And I'm humbly proud to say that he is my big brother. And I actually worked under him in Gita Nagri. And sometimes, it should be all the time, but sometimes, because I'm rascal, sometimes I apologize to myself and also to His Grace for being stubborn to him in so many ways. But I'm fortunate he is so kind. He doesn't take anything to heart. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Today is 30th. Tomorrow is the last day of the year. And therefore, today is the last day in the year that we are speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Tomorrow, by Sri Guru Krishna's grace, we're going to be here, but we're not going to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. We will share with you what tomorrow's program is going to be like. And therefore, we are very grateful that we have His grace closing the Srimad Bhagavatam chapter for the year 2025 with us. And of course, it's 2 verses Prabhuji is going to be covering. So without further ado, Prabhuji, as always, we thank you so much for accepting this invitation to be with us. And we may put the verses on the screen and you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
And thank you, everybody, for taking time of your busy days, busy schedules, to be with us for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. It is also Ekadasi, the holiest of days, at least here where I'm at. I don't know wherever you are in the world, if it is, but we're honoring Ekadasi, Holy Ekadasi today. And I'll pull it up from my screen because I can see better, if that's okay. Can you still see me?
Yes, we can still see you.
Okay.
We can also give you the rights if you want to share from your screen.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Then you may read from your screen and then we'll also put it up for others to read and follow.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
From Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter. A beautiful chapter. Description of the spiritual world. Probably one of the first places in Bhagavatam where we get a little peek into Vaikuntha world. And I want to recognize all of you there in a Zoom room. Offer my humble obeisances to all of you, and some of us here who are in the room here with me. I want to welcome them as well for this hour or less than an hour of Bhagavatam. So 3rd canto, 15th chapter, verses 13 and 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ta ekada bhagavato vaikuntasya malamana. Yayur vaikunta nilayam sarva loka namaskritam. Ta ekada bhagavato vaikuntaya malamana. Yayur vaikunta nilayam sarva loka namaskritam. And I'll do one more time, call and response, but keep your mics muted just to avoid different timings. Ta ekada bhagavato vaikuntasya malamana yayur vaikunta nilayam sarva loka namaskritam. We'll skip word by word. We'll go straight to the verse because we have another one to cover too. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After thus traveling all over the universe, they, who are they? They also enter into the spiritual sky. for they were freed from all material contamination. So for those of you who were there yesterday or the day before, whenever the previous verses were read and covered, who are we talking about? Who are they? So let's just, before we read the verse, let's just put it in the context where we are. Really quick, really brief. So Kashyapa and Diti got into it. Diti is concerned. She's suspending her pregnancy for 100 years because she's aware of consequences. And all the demigods are perplexed. They are actually in anxiety. The universe is covered in darkness. And what do the demigods do when there's calamity? What do all devotees do when there's a calamity? They come, if not to Krishna, to their authority. Who is the authority in this universe? Adikavaye. Tenne Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. That's Lord Brahma. Same thing happened when, if you remember Krishna book. Krishna book starts with that whole drama. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, as all the stories begin. Long, long ago, in a far galaxy. if you're a fan of a Star Wars. But this was right here. The earth was overburdened with unnecessary military power. Remember? That's how Krishna book starts. And then what happened? Madhubhumi, in the form of a cow, approached Brahma. Actually, all the demigods, they have that power. They have a power to approach Brahma at any time. Not only demigods, but all the planets in this universe and their personified form, they have that ability, they have that right to approach. Just like we can at any time go to the city council, knock at the door and come up with a request. Hey, there's no electricity. We are in dark. And so this is what's happening here also. Demigods are praying. The whole universe is in darkness. So they're approaching Brahma. So what do we do? So Brahma is answering. Actually, not too long ago in American history, I don't know when it stopped, but I guess it stopped with all that gunpowder that became prominent. Everybody could carry a gun. That's been always like that in the U.S. You could have went to Washington, D.C., to the Capitol unannounced and request the interview or darshan of the president with all your complaints. It was not until I don't know when it stopped, after the President Lincoln, or somewhere in that area afterwards. But you can look it up. You could come and request to see the president with a long list of your concerns and your grievances, suggestions, and that will be his job to hear you. Nowadays, we have emails, but I'm not sure if those are answered. But this is what's happening in Bhagavatam. So due to the inauspicious pregnancy of Diti and two powerful embryos, two powerful demons within her womb, the whole universe is affected in such a way that demigods are freaking out and they're approaching Brahma. And Brahma, in his answer, this is part of his answer, he mentions the history. Well, he starts with the far history of these two to be born demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And so they, in this verse, they refers to four Kumaras, because that's the kind of origin of that long history. as they were traveling all over the universe, they, meaning four Kumaras, coming back to the verse, they also entered into the spiritual sky. How and why? Because they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all material planets. So far, so good. So everybody worships freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the trouble. Vaikuntha means trouble-free or anxiety-free. Everybody wants that. However, it is only achieved in a Paravyama, spiritual sky, and there is an attempt to fix material, but it's never achieved. Vaikuntha is not possible in the material world unless and until we accept Krishna consciousness, or, as it says here, freedom from all material contamination. It says we become purified. Even in this material world, we can experience Vaikuntha. As a matter of fact, the temples, Prabhupada referred to his spiritual embassies. Temples are like spiritual embassies. They are Vaikunthas. Prabhupada also referred to his devotees as Vaikuntha men, or they are like Chintamani touchstones. They can transform material into spiritual. How do we do that? Via medium of bhakti, or pure practice of pure devotional service. Purport. The material world is full of cares and anxieties. In any one of the planets, beginning from the highest down to the lowest, Patala, every living creature must be full of cares and anxieties, because in the material planets, one cannot live eternally. The living entities, however, are actually eternal. They want an eternal home, an eternal residence, but because of accepting a temporal abode in the material world, they are naturally full of anxiety. In the spiritual sky, the planets are called Vaikuntha, because the residents of these planets are free from all anxieties. For them, there's no question of birth, death, old age, and disease, and therefore they are not anxious. On the other hand, the residents of the material planets are always afraid of birth, death, disease, and old age, and therefore they are full of anxieties. And text 14, as we were told, Vasanti yatra purusha sarve vaikunta murtaya ye nimita nimitena dharmena radayan harim. Translation and purport, short purport, another short purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in a form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desire for sense gratification. Purport: the residents and the form of living in Vaikuntha are described in this verse. The residents are all like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. In the Vaikuntha planets, Krishna's plenary feature as four-handed Narayan is the predominating deity. And the residents of Vaikuntha Loka are also four-handed, just contrary to our conception here in the material world. Nowhere in the material world do we find a human being with four hands. In Vaikuntha Loka, there is no occupation but the service of the Lord. And this service is not rendered with a purpose. This is an interesting statement. There's no purpose to doing anything in the spiritual world. Why would you do anything without a purpose? That begs a question. Well, without a purpose, meaning that there's no material purpose. The only reason anybody acts in the spiritual world is as devotees do in this world, by the definition of pure devotional service, is to please Krishna. There's two things. Mother Yashoda toiled. She endeavored so hard to bind Krishna. She was 2 inches too short. So that's the labor, the endeavor on the devotee part. Why? Just to please Krishna. Rupa Goswami explains that out of these two, labor and mercy, the other inch, the other finger, 2 fingers too short, is the mercy. Out of those two, our labor, our endeavor is more glorified. Why? Because it attracts mercy. But we have to be careful that we can be somewhat fruitive. Oh, I'm going to labor very hard to get Krishna's mercy. Is that what we're after? Is that what we want? Do we want Krishna's mercy or do we want please Krishna? We can become fruitive. The danger of serving Krishna just to get his mercy, we can end up being fruitive, which is not favorable. But if we simply please just to simply serve just to please Krishna and Krishna's devotees, then we might be better off. And we'll be serving without purpose, any personal purpose, with no personal vested interest. In that sense, it's not rendered with a purpose, simply as a loving exchange. For example, in Dwaraka, all the palaces are spotless clean, yet not maidservants, the queens of Dwaraka, they are all day long engaged by doing what we see as a menial service of cleaning. Why? Because it pleases Krishna. This point of being ready to do any service in relation to Krishna, no matter how menial, but if it is in relation to Krishna, and being enthusiastic and grateful, seeing it as a privilege to be engaged in that way, that is Krishna consciousness. If it is outside of that domain, it can actually be harmful for our bhakti. So first of all, we have to understand that all services are equal. This is what Srila Prabhupada shared in 1975 at the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan. He said, Krishna Balaram, they are black and white. Our floor here, it is black and white. This person, cleaning person, is cleaning the floor. Pujari is worshiping Krishna Balaram. No difference. The service is equal. If we understand that, then we become more eligible for the entrance to the Vaikuntha world. Otherwise, this purpose is always going to pollute and cloud our consciousness. Oh, I'm a pujari. This is a higher service than this service. This purpose can pollute and cloud, and it can kick us out from the Krishna consciousness, which ultimately is the requirement for entrance to the spiritual world. So this is the meaning of not rendered with a purpose. Although every service has a particular result, the devotees never aspire for the fulfillment of their own desires. So very important to note. Their desires are fulfilled by rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. And thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Purport to the 14th verse of the 15th chapter, entitled Description, Kingdom of God. This is third canto. Hare Krishna. Go back. After thus traveling all over the universes, they also entered into the spiritual sky, where they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, this is interesting section, right? Of the Bhagavatam. We're getting a peek to the spiritual world. What it is, what it takes. What are the qualifications to want to experience that? And it's not a really, it's not a geographical journey. It is a state of consciousness. As we see, as Prabhupada has said, you cannot purchase the ticket to Vrindavan. Many has come to Vrindavan, but do we really experience Vrindavan? It takes a certain preparation, a certain purification of consciousness. So in this early stage of Narasimha Lila, that Brahma is bringing us all the way to the beginning in a story of Jai Vijay, as no spoilers, but as you see, Kumaras will come and pass all the gates. How many? 7 or 9 gates. And then on the last gate, they will meet the guards or doorkeepers of Vaikuntha world, and there will be a little dispute there. But that's upcoming. Interestingly, to notice that in the 15th verse, all the residents, just like Narayana, they are described as four-handed forms or features, not really visible in the latest avatar. For those of you who watch movies, in the latest Avatar movie, and in previous ones, first and second, we see the blue people from the Pandora, but no 4 hands. So I guess they kept it simple, we can say. And the other 2 are invisible, rather. They're very powerful. At least they appear in a movie, very powerful personalities. So here we see demigods, like I said, they show by example of what to do when we are in anxiety. They approach Lord Brahma. And then Brahma starts answering by these narrations about his sons, 4 Kumaras, his sons. They came from Lord Brahma, and they are actually 4 Kumaras, that they are Shaktavesha avatars. They are empowered incarnations themselves. For what purpose? For the disseminating of transcendental knowledge. So they are in, and they have their own sampradaya, as a matter of fact, Kumara sampradaya. They're empowered incarnations, like Narada, he's also Shaktiavesh, like Prithu, Sheshanaga. Sheshanaga is also considered Shaktiavesh, or empowered incarnation. So the whole point here that Prabhupada reflects in terms of the dynamic between the world that it's full of anxieties, this material world, and the world that it's free from anxieties, that Prabhupada points out and highlights that this world is not our home. That's really the only difference. In this world, nobody can remain. Everybody's kicked out. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Again and again, we come and go, until at one point we become fortunate enough to come in contact with that mercy or the opportunity to do some service that is pleasing for Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Kripaya Paya Bhaktilata Bij. Then since time immemorial, this living entity is trapped in a circle of samsara, of repeated birth and death. But some fortunate soul, some Bhagavan Jiva, comes in contact with Srila Prabhupada. Somehow, some prashadam, some devotee, inspiration, some book. Somehow, they become recipient, Bhagavan Jiva, Guru Krishna, Kripaya Paya. They become a recipient of this kripa, this mercy. That spiritual master plants, that Srila Prabhupada plants in our heart. And through that seed, Bhaktilata Bij, can sprout our creeper, our devotional creeper, which we need to attend to. We need to water. Watering processes. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho. We hear and we speak about Vishnu. And this changes everything. This is our kunta, or the atmosphere of impermanence, atmosphere that it's full of anxiety, a trouble, becomes transformed into Vaikuntha. As we hear, sufficiently hear, and glorify the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord. Remembering that we are here only for some time. This is not our home. And that this human form is given so we can cross on the other side of Vaitarani or Viraja river. Cross from this side or this bank to the other. And anxiety that we experience has a purpose. Like Arjuna, he was in anxiety. If he didn't have a crisis, do you think Arjuna would ever approach Krishna? So this trouble and anxiety experiencing has a purpose, and it serves a purpose by setting us on the right path. Because without crisis, who would ever approach God? Right? They say there's no atheists in a foxhole and a war trench. In a war trench, everybody is all of a sudden a believer. When there's a trouble, like I was hearing my father this morning, oh my God, I'll tell you, just by being with my father here, assisting him through his old age and doctor's appointment, I get a lot of realizations of how this world is such a nightmare, and it's not a nice place. While we are young and intoxicated with youth, we think, oh yeah, I can do this. And, the mantra goes, you can be anything you want. Just be determined. But all of that will be taken away. This is the phantasmagoria, or the bubbles in the ocean. Everything is, unless put in a service to Krishna, all of that will become a source of anxiety. The more you have, actually, the greater the loss and following grief that goes with it. So my dad was saying, oh God, save me. Oh, save us. Oh God, save us, because the protocols and the bureaucracy here and Croatian medical system, it's quite slow, and there's a lot of runarounds. So we're saying, oh, God save us. So again, in a trouble, we reach out. And there's always anxiety because the very nature of this world that is temporary and it's not compatible to who we are. The threat of non-existence is unnatural. Why? Because we're eternal, but because we are focused on outside, which all around us is temporary. We are shivering, being wet in a wrong environment. We have already jumped, and we are in the water of the ocean of material existence, and we are wet and we are shivering, but we don't belong there. We don't belong there. We are eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge, and we are hoping for the divine intervention of one of Krishna's names, beautiful names from the Gita, is Samudarta, swift deliverer. He can come on his beautiful bird carrier Garuda and swoop us up from the ocean of this hard struggle for existence. So this is every devotee's aspiration. And but there's a problem. We have this invisible addiction. It's a different kind of pandemic in this world. It's our addiction to this glimmer and all the bling and so-called safety in this world. Everybody wants to be a top dog. Why? Because they're driven by fear. Unless I'm top dog, I'll be exploited. So that's why this world is called the world of cheaters and cheated. They're exploiters and those who are exploited. It's a cruel world. It's a nasty place. Not a place for a gentleman. And I'm reminded again and again, just by watching my dad, and if you watch your parents growing old, you will see not a place for a gentleman. And there's so much grace that it's lost in a process of aging, in a process of dying. Unfortunately, there's so much grace that it's lost, so much mercy, so much compassion that it's lost. Humans being cruel to one another. And of course, there are wonderful examples also. But in general, nowadays compassion is perceived as weakness. It's very unfortunate. In Croatia, they say yachi tlachi, one who, what is the equivalent to that? Oh, might is right. That's the mantra. Might is right. We see that in, anyway, you see that in the world of politics. There's colonizing and neo-imperialisms and whatnot. But yeah, the anxiety should be a stimuli that we take shelter of Krishna, just like demigods did, and just like Srila Prabhupada has done it. But we have to watch for this invisible addiction to comfortable life, because spiritual path and comfortable life, or too much of a comfort, they don't go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, voluntary discomfort and austerities are what's being suggested. There's only one problem in this world, and that's why intelligent people they don't waste time, because of the problem of birth. That's the only problem. Because with the birth, you get all other. It's a full package. Old age, disease, death. If you've taken birth, everything else will follow. If we're lucky, if we are fortunate to live long. So you solve the problem of birth, you solve everything. So therefore, devotees, they don't want to take birth again. Rather, they utilize their time wisely to purify their consciousness, to come to the level of Vaikuntha consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead, as urged by Srila Prabhupada. This lifetime, this lifetime. See, so birth is death. Birth is death, and breakdown. When we have breakdowns in this material world, they are also breakthroughs. Breakdowns are breakthroughs, and they should be for a devotee. Live and learn. We have a breakdown. There's always some lesson to unpack. Then we can have a breakthrough. And price we have to pay to cross the path is eagerness to purify ourselves, like I said. And we do that not just by wanting mercy, but by actually paying attention how we can please Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Because if we please Krishna and Krishna's devotees, it's automatic. Mercy will flow. What is the point of getting mercy unless we are missing the point? What is the point of getting mercy if we are missing the point of pleasing Krishna and Krishna's devotees? So pride, we have to be eager. We have to have that lolium, eagerness to please Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Welcoming our struggles. We have to welcome our struggles. As another pop culture a nugget of wisdom goes, that the kites. Have you ever flew the kites? The kites they fly best. They fly the best against the wind. If they're against the wind, they fly the best. So it's a nice reminder that if we are hitting some hardship, some reversals, some hard times, we have to always remind ourselves that Krishna is preparing us for something greater, delivering hard lessons, but nevertheless, it's a preparation and purification of a kind. Okay, I'm looking at the watch. Maybe at this point we can open for some comments or questions from your end.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Shri ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu, of course, as always, for this insightful Shri Krishna Katha from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. Prabhuji, thank you. I have this question. You said...
It's your question?
Yes, my question.
Okay.
You were saying that, excuse me, that like the flying kites, those that fly against the wind, they fly the best. So as devotees, when we are facing some difficulties, some hardships, we should understand that Krishna is preparing us for something greater.
Yes.
I wanted to give a little bit more light to that understanding in the context that I say that, well, if I'm facing some difficulties, Krishna is preparing me for something greater, which is nice, but probably it is due to my own stupidity. No, there was a time we were discussing book distribution. Devotees going on Sankirtan for book distribution. Of course, your humble self, you are very wonderful book distributor. But somebody goes out on book distribution and is unable to distribute any single book. And then he tells himself, well, that is Krishna's mercy. If Krishna wanted me to distribute, I would have distributed. But maybe it is because he is not trained how to distribute books. If you were trained how to distribute books, you could have distributed books, but because he was not trained, he could not distribute books. Now he's giving the excuse that Krishna didn't want me to distribute any book. So if someone is being lazy, is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and some difficulties are coming his way, and the person says, well, this is Krishna's mercy, preparing me for something greater, I think that is not proper. So if you may shed some light to difficulties coming our way, is Krishna's way of preparing us for something greater or higher. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes. We should differentiate between Krishna's mercy and our foolishness. Srila Prabhupada was going to, I think it was South Africa. They were taking him to the airport, and the devotee was late. And Prabhupada was concerned, and he was saying, well, why we're late? And then this devotee was driving, well, Srila Prabhupada, if you miss the airplane, there'll be Krishna's mercy. You know what happened next, right? Prabhupada said, what? That is not Krishna's mercy, that is your foolishness. So, yeah, we cannot use that as an excuse. We are not conveniently, all of a sudden, impersonal, attributing everything. They say not a blade of grass, but it's true, not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. You heard that before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because Krishna has sanctioned it doesn't mean it is his desire. We have to always differentiate and be very keen, very alert to what is Krishna's desire. Usually that is revealed through his devotees. What Krishna desires, unless we are very pure and we can hear Krishna directly dictating from within, like Srila Prabhupada. Krishna was dictating from within, and Srila Prabhupada was talking to the... Okay, this is my alarm for Q&A, which I already did. We can get a hint of what Krishna's desires through his representatives. So many of wonderful Krishna's devotees we can give shiksha from. They recommend, in regards to shiksha, not more than 3. Otherwise, too many shikshas can also confuse us. And even those 3, they got to be somewhat compatible and in line. So yes, very important point. Thank you, Sadev Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada he has never encouraged us to escape society. He never encouraged escapism, but rather on the contrary, he was encouraging reorientation. So what does that mean? Reorientation means that everything that Krishna has provided, meaning this body, this mind, this intelligence, whatever faculties, whatever capacity we have, to be engaged in his service, whatever resources we have. This is a devotee program. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Tat Paritvena Nirmalam. Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam. Tat Paritvena Nirmalam. without any desire, without any, that second purport says purpose. There's no purpose to act other than the single purpose, to please Krishna and Krishna's devotees. This is our safe space. This is the Vaikuntha consciousness. This is the only way to be in this world and not be affected by this world. This is the only way that we can be in pain, but choose not to suffer. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Srila Prabhupada, towards the end of his life, was so much in pain. His body was falling apart, but he was ecstatic. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also, we saw that. He was ecstatic. Doctors could not compute how is that possible, because their consciousness was different. And consciousness creates reality. So in that way, we follow not just Prabhupada, but we also follow Prahlad Maharaj and what he has taught, and his teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. If I can pull it up real quick. It's a very instructive verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th canto, later on, 9th chapter. Naibo dvijay paraduratyaya varitaranyas tvad guyana mahamrita magna chitta shocheta to vimukacheta sa indriyartha maya sukhaya baram udvarhato vimudan. It says that, oh, best of the great personalities, I'm not at all afraid of material existence. Prahlad Maharaj is not afraid. Why? For whatever I stay, I'm fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for those fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I'm simply concerned with love for them. So he is situated, but notice how he's not condemning, he's not judging them. He's concerned out of love. This is also difference between religiosity and spirituality. There's a new book out, I don't know if I showed you, by Mahatma Prabhu. Did I show you that last time? I think I did.
I don't think so. And Prabhuji, your video is turned off. If you may turn it back on.
Okay, sorry. There you go. Spiritual but not religious, by Mahatma Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
It's very nice. I've been reading it here and there. And it's a trip to Croatia. But notice how he's not judging them. He's not speaking from the high horse. He's speaking out of concern and with love for them. Religious people, or rather people in the religious world, they tend to build walls. And we as spiritualists, aspiring transcendentalists, we should be concerned of knocking down those walls and using the same material to build bridges. So that is our mission statement, as also taught by Srila Prabhupada, who urged us, please do not make me sectarian. Don't make me sectarian, because this is not what I'm presenting here. Srila Prabhupada's moment is the moment of compassion and love. It's the moment of bhakti. And we have to really take a close look and see how is it that quite often it's hard to find love in a bhakti moment. How is that? That's something, it's not right. Anyway, the purport is quite long. I won't get into it, but if you like, you can look at it. 7943. I hope that helps out there, Prabhu.
Very good. I really love the explanation to my question, because as living entities, human beings, we always seek the easy path. And if I'm in the Srimad Bhagavatam class and I'm hearing that difficulties on my path are Krishna's grace, mercy, just like I had one Maharaj, excuse me to say this here, and I have not witnessed it, I've heard about it, which is very, very unfortunate. But this Maharaj, we're fortunate to have his divine association here from time to time. His Holiness, my brain is frozen. But he was speaking and he was saying that some devotees believe, because it's said in the scriptures that if someone leaves his body in Vrindavan, he goes back home. And so some devotees commit suicide in Vrindavan, hoping that they will go back home. And
I wish it was that easy.
yeah, so he was blasting this ignorance that devotees should not be thinking and doing that. So I really appreciated the explanation. This is His Holiness Bhakti Anugraha Swami Maharaj. Yeah, he was speaking like that. That is very unfortunate. It says if a devotee does that, he will become a ghost. You're not going anywhere. You become a ghost and suffer. So sometimes as devotees, we try to seek the easy way and become lazy and not wanting to do the right thing. But the explanation you gave is very satisfactory and very clear. Thank you so much. Anyone else with something to ask or to share, please? Well, the devotees are quiet. Then let me ask my second question, Prabhuji. Like you said, I am very much interested in this particular chapter because I'm always eager to understand what goes on in the spiritual world, because I'm itching so bad going to the spiritual world in this lifetime. I'm so tired in this material world, I don't want to come back here. But as I'm here, I am thinking, if I'm able to go to the spiritual world, how does the place look like? I remember some time ago we used to watch Krishna pastimes, like Vishnu Purana, and you see very wonderful things. But I remember Mother Sunita, Govinda Prabhu's wife, she used to ask this question. We hear so many beautiful things about the spiritual world, but when we watch the movies, we don't see any huge palaces, we don't see huge buildings, you don't even see any room. So probably when we're going there, we have to carry our beds with us so we can have a place to lay our head, you know. So I'm always eager to know what's going on in the spiritual world. And this chapter is going to give us the introduction to how the spiritual world looks like. But my question here is, it is said that in the Vaikuntha, all the beings there are four-armed, just like Lord Narayan. Does that also mean that they also carry the symbols Lord Narayan carries, like the disc, the conch shell, the lotus? Do they carry those symbols? The 11 entities in the Vaikuntha planets, or those symbols are only carried by the Supreme Lord?
They're only carried by the Supreme Lord, but if needed, they can carry those as well. If service dictates,
Okay.
they can pick it up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
Once,
The Supreme Lord is very merciful, you know.
what
Yeah.
Father, whatever Father possesses, of course, the son and the daughters, it will be theirs as well. But as they use it um, for single purpose, and that is pleasing, it will be pleasing to Father. This is the spirit that devotee acts, described by Srila Rupa Goswami in Spirit of Yukta Vairagya. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. That if it is in relation to Krishna, then it is utilized. There's a funny story here from a famous Croatian from maybe 15 years ago. He was like, oh yeah, one of the jet setters. He was a coach of many national teams. I forgot what sport, all over Europe, and a jet setter, a lot of money, but he gave it up all. He gave it all up, and he went to live in a forest.
Wow.
He's writing books, and he has a Facebook, probably Instagram, and in his Facebook he says, "Oh, there's a book," and those are nice meditations, but you see how he has not understood the principle of renunciation. How can we renounce something that it's not ours in the first place? So you can see the post on the Facebook, and it says, and then for as little as $99.9, you can subscribe monthly, and you will get all these perks and books. And so on one hand, he's giving up the whole fortune, and then on the other hand, he's going to the forest. Still, he depends on subscriptions. So you see, he has not understood that to think that illusion, and he was speaking in that Facebook post, he was speaking about illusion. And what illusion is, to think there's something that is separate from Krishna, and something that is not ours in the first place. How can we renounce? It's like a bank teller saying, I'm renouncing all this money. But it's not yours in the first place. That's one thing. One type of illusion. Another type of illusion, the bank teller is counting money, and he's saying, and he's thinking and saying, this is all mine. That mentality. So first mentality, you end up in a mental hospital. And the second mentality, you end up behind the bars. The healthy state of mind is that we are very diligent about the money that we are handling. The bank teller handles thousands and hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. But he never thinks, oh, I'm renouncing, oh, this is mine. He's very diligent about handling and properly placing the resources. The devotee is like that, radically responsible.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Of course, Prabhuji, you know me. I am sin personified. But hearing you talk about your dad, his situation, even though we know we are unqualified to say or do anything to support. Nevertheless, we still offer our prayers to the Lord that if it is his time to be called, the Supreme Lord should arrange for him to be with him. But for the sake of us back here, it is so, you talked about Srila Prabhupada, you talked about Gurudev Bhakti Swami Maharaj. We saw it, we see it happen to our loved ones, and it's very, very difficult to experience our loved ones go through such difficult situations. So we pray that if the Supreme Lord is ready to call him back, it should be a smooth transition. That's just our prayer. And if the Supreme Lord is not prepared for him to come back, and the Supreme Lord should relieve him of all these physical pains, which is also giving us so much emotional pain. And this is our humblest prayer to Srila Prabhupada. I oftentimes hesitate to pray to Sri Krishna because Sri Krishna, I believe he has too many things going on. And he himself does not feel pain. So even when I'm describing pain to him, he doesn't hear me. But Srila Prabhupada was here with us.
What about Krishna?
He went through pain. Gurudev also said it, that he was lucky he was not having any sort of serious ailments until his final chapter. And that is helping him understand much better the need to care for those who are in such conditions. So in short, we're praying that the Supreme Lord does not make your father go through so much physical pain, which obviously will give us so much emotional pain. So this is our humblest prayer. Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sadhu Prabhu. Much appreciated. I'm indebted to your kind words, and I know you've been aware of this situation, and this is to mine, and especially my father's, a great fortune that you're extending this to others as well. We are made of mercy. We are made of mercy of the Vaishnavas. So he's very fond of Srila Prabhupada, and even today, we had some guests for lunch. He was speaking about Srila Prabhupada, and he has some sense of attachment for Srila Prabhupada and his glorious life from his personal example that he read about in Prabhupada's biography. So he's connected in that way through Srila Prabhupada and also through me.
Yeah.
Out of affection, I called him Prabhupada Das.
Jai.
And he doesn't object. So
Yeah. Jai. Jai.
It's very rare. But it's an interesting point that you brought up about Krishna's being incapable of empathy because he doesn't know what pain is. But is it true? Because the worst kind of pain is separation from devotees. Krishna is, at times, he can experience the worst kind of pain when he feels the separation from his devotees. We see that not only in Krishna Lila, but especially in Chaitanya Lila. He was very much experiencing pain, but different kind of pain nevertheless, of course. But pain is something that he does have idea about, and therefore he comes as Mahaprabhu, not only to taste that feeling of separation, but also to help the conditioned souls who are struggling very hard for existence, and help them in that other kind of pain that it's rather entangling and numbing. Very unfortunate situation for the conditioned souls bereft of Krishna's mercy, where they so much in pain that they're trying to find various ways to numb the pain through substance abuse, nowadays through entertainment. They're just trying to forget the anxiety and the pain of the material world. Krishna consciousness comes as a ultimate solution, an ultimate painkiller, by offering the bliss of devotional service.
Well,
I would a little bit disagree with you that Krishna is incapable of empathy.
well, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, he is a sentient being, so he feels the pain we go through, but I believe his sense of feeling is different from ours. And so this is just my personal preference. I always prefer praying to my Gurudev and Sri Prabhupada. Krishna is the last resort. I don't usually go to him because he's the master mischief. when I'm seriously asking something from him, he may probably be playing on his flute. Sri Prabhupada will listen to me. Well, I'll say that is my preferred way of praying. But we have Anadi Nidanand Prabhu who has his hand up. Anadi Nidanand Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna. Anadi Nidanand, are you there? Okay, good.
I'm here, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Jai.
I hope I'm audible now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, Prabhu, thank you for listening to you for the very first time. So, Prabhu, my question is, we are experiencing the perverted reflection of whatever in the spiritual world. So, as far as anxiety and miseries are concerned, how is it felt in the spiritual world? And also, is it because of here is temporal? That is where miseries and anxieties are attached to it. I would like to know. Hare Krishna.
Yes, that is exactly how it is. Because everything is temporary here, and it's the most unnatural thing for the eternal spirit soul to be disrupted in their existence, which we are again and again. We get disrupted. Old age, disease, ultimately, the death blow, the final blow of death, puts everything to an end. And it's very unnatural. It's unnatural for the living entity that it's eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge, full of cognizance, sustainable awareness and bliss. That's what we are looking for. But it's never found in this world. As a matter of fact, like I said earlier, the more you have, the greater the anxiety when we lose it. So it's better we offer it all to Krishna in a responsible way, and we act with that kind of consciousness. Manasa deho geho yoki chumor Artiyo Urdapale Nanda Kishore. My mind, my body, my family, everything belongs to you, my Lord. These are the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We are not proprietor. We are the custodian. We're the caretaker. This is required consciousness that we are supposed to act in this world. In that way, we'll be able to be in this world, but acting with understanding that we are not of it and never be entangled. Be ready for the death blow at any moment, because guess what? It can come at any moment. Most people think, oh, I have 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years if you're young or younger. But there's even 7 hours that are guaranteed. 7 minutes, 7 seconds are not guaranteed. Parikshit had guaranteed 7 days. That's the greatest luxury, to know when we'll be able to exit. But because we don't know, we act in a way that as if this will be our last day. So how would we think, speak, and act if this was our last day? What will be the nature of our interactions? This meditation changes everything. In great Roman times, great Roman emperors, the Caesars, they would have a servant that would ride with him, and they would whisper into his ear, "Memento mori, memento mori." Remember that. So the Caesar doesn't get carried away in his great conquer of the world. Remember that. And all the great philosophers, they also would, if you see some of the paintings of great painters in Europe, they would always depict philosophers with a skull on their table. And that's what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said, philosophy means to always see death in front of us. Not in a morbid way, but in a way that it's reminding us to be wise in a way we spend our time. Because time is given only for one purpose, that we may develop more and more of attachment to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And the way we do that is via medium of devotional service. So this idea of a non-permanence will not be a threat, it will be a stimuli. I only have so much time, so let me use it wisely. And in that way, we'll be in Vaikuntha consciousness. And the death won't be a threat, it will be just a portal, a doorway for which we will enter, going back home, back to Godhead. Yes, that is the main difference. It is temporary.
Hare Krishna. Another Nidanam Prabhu, I hope you're satisfied. Metravinda Devi.
I hope part of my question have not been answered.
Okay.
I mean, if miseries and anxieties in this material world, how is it felt? Or how do they feel it in originality in the spiritual world also?
Yeah, because if you are eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge, there will be no issue. There's no issue with birth, old age, disease, and death. For example, in another feature of Vaikuntha, that there's no exploitation. of others. Why? Because there's no need. There's no need to exploit others. You are already who you are, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. And there's there's even no need for eating and sleeping and defending. There's no need to eat, but yet everybody's eating. So it's a different kind of activity. And everything that is going on, it's simply going on as a loving exchange. Why devotees in the spiritual world are eating? Because the process of eating is not to live, it's simply there as a loving exchange. we don't have a need to eat, but we want to have a loving exchange with Krishna. So this is another difference. And of course, there's kalpavriksha trees and kamadhenu cows that are fulfilling all of our desires, anything that we desire, but not for our gratification. It's, again, desire that it's fulfilled in a realm of service. So that's how there's no anxiety, there's no pain. And the only anxiety that is existing in a spiritual world is anxiety of separation, which I touched upon a little bit. Krishna experiences also anxiety of separation. Actually, Srila Prabhupada describes that as the perfect way to serve Krishna, with a little anxiety.
Yeah.
Vishnu Jan Maharaj asked him in the Bhagavad Dharma discourse in 1975 in New Vrindavan, what is the perfect way to serve Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada said, like gopis, with a little anxiety. Too much anxiety is no good, and usually it's indication of some kind of mismanagement or not being organized well. But little anxiety is good. And you will see, Bhaktirtha Maharaj personally told me that in order to stay spiritually alive, we always need some challenge, some little anxiety. And Krishna is very expert, and Srila Prabhupada is very expert in keeping us on our toes in that kind of way. Like I said, it's almost a mandate for spiritual path. It's almost a requirement. A requirement for self-realization is crisis. Because without crisis, Arjuna had to go through it. It was existential crisis that he was going through. And for those so-called security blankets to be removed, or whenever they are removed, whenever that veil of illusion is removed, of so-called security blankets from us, that is the moment we step on a spiritual path. So, but love makes a difference. Yeah, love makes a difference. In this whole story, if there's one thing to remember, is that love will make, bhakti will make a difference. And I have an example here. My sister's oldest has a 15-month-old boy, Mateo, and she had some, because now he's not a small baby anymore. And when you carry him 15-month-old, that's heavy. So her back was giving up. Yelena, that's her name, Yelena. Elena, out of affection. So when she carried him, her back gave up. So I was giving her a little massage, but then she said, and helped a little bit. She said, the only time it doesn't hurt me is when I carry him. And she has to go up the stairs. They're on a third floor where they live. So they have to go upstairs, second, third floor. So the baby is the very source of her pain. But because of her consciousness of a mother, when she takes him in her arms, that's the only time she doesn't feel the pain. So it's interesting how the consciousness works and makes a difference and transforms the experience. Yeah, another example that Prabhupada gives is the baby poop. And when the baby poops when they're young, he said, for the mother, it's like a sandalwood. It's very fragrant, and even has that texture. Even has that texture of a sandalwood and the baby poop, and the color. Even the color is there. And for others, it's like, oh, very obnoxious. For mother, it's like sandalwood. So, in order to make that leap from mundane to transcendental, what makes a difference is consciousness. That's the point that it's most important in this whole hour that we've been discussing. Because it is not a geographical journey, it's a journey that it's experienced within, journey within. There's a book. And we're not limited in any way, shape, or form. There's no excuses. It can be done at any time, in any circumstance. Krishna is there, waiting for that relationship to be reignited by turning to him.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. There was a comment in the chat room from Her Grace Mitravinda Devi that we love you, Your Grace, ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu, and your family. We love you all, and it's true. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
In absence of questions or comments, we would like to. Did anyone interrupt? Well, we'll go ahead. In absence of further questioning, and Ari Chakra Prabhu has his hand up. Shri Advaita Prabhu, do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I'm at your service, especially when it comes to Hare Chakra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thank you. So Ari Chakra Prabhu, you may unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to you. All glories to Gurudev and all glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you for the in-depth explanations that you have given today. It's a whole lot to be taken and deliberate on. Yeah, I was just I'm just trying to give a little comment about the question Anandi Nidanam Prabhu asked about as to whether there is anxiety or this thing. I think yesterday, was it yesterday or so? Saturday Prabhu or somebody asked a question that was it on this platform? Yeah, I think so. He asked a question that so many ardent devotees of Srila Prabhupada, somebody has stayed in the movement for so long, and somehow the others they fall off. The person fall off. And he says that makes it very scary. That if these exalted devotees can fall off, then what about us? And I think the answer if I remember, the answer that was given was that, yeah, it's not that those people are not practicing Krishna consciousness properly. That is not the issue. The issue is that we are not scared of Maya enough. And so it's like those who are actually exalted, who are really on the spiritual plane, like the pure devotees, they are scared of Maya enough to keep them away from Maya. But we are not. Sometimes we think we can toy with Maya a little bit. Oh, we can toy with Maya. And by the time we realize there's a problem. So Srila Krishna Prabhu was once giving a class, and somebody asked a similar question. And he said, if you accept a guru, then you make sure you hide behind the guru. Don't try to poke your head to see what is going on in front of you. Because once you do that, then you give yourself away, and the punch of Maya can hit you, and it might hit you very hard that you might not be able to wake up again. And so he said, if you are behind the guru, then you should make sure you hide completely behind the guru, so that the guru is the one who will be receiving the punches, and you just walk. As he moves forward, you move with him.
Yeah.
But don't be too inquisitive to try to poke your nose to find out what is going on in front. You might get yourself into trouble. And so, well, like the anxiety we are talking about, I guess our anxiety here is completely different from the anxiety in the spiritual world. And that's why it's a perverted reflection, because he was saying that we say the material world is a perverted reflection. Of course, when we say something is a perverted reflection, like if you're standing in front of the mirror, your right hand becomes your left hand in the mirror. If you raise your right hand in front of the mirror, in the mirror, it's your left hand that goes up. So similarly, the anxiety in the spiritual world definitely should be the direct opposite of the anxiety in the material world, which is that anxiety there should be bliss, whereas the anxiety here in the material world is devastation. So that is just a comment I wanted to give.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And His Grace ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu, thank you so much for this. Like Mother Petravenda Devi was saying in the chat room, that liquid gold, that is when a mother offers a breast milk to the baby. So what you gave us is more than gold, because it is what is going to help propel us to go back to Godhead. And there is nothing more precious than going back to Godhead. So thank you so much. And we wish each and everyone a happy upcoming new year. Of course, we're going to meet here tomorrow by Sri Guru Krishna's grace. Like we said initially, tomorrow we're going to gather together here, and we're going to discuss a topic in a general platform, general way, and that will be attitude of gratitude. That is what we're going to be discussing. So before tomorrow comes, we may all prepare our minds as to what has been going on in our lives throughout the year, and what we are grateful for, and what we're thankful for. So with that being said, Sri ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu, if you may give maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute concluding remark, we will really appreciate that. And then we'll bring this to a final close. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. It will be the best just to wish everybody, as you said, the best in the next year. May the next one be better than this one in your health, wealth, and bhakti. And may we all never take each other for granted, but rather appreciate each other, as that is pleasing to Guru and Gauranga, and that we may all excel on our path that come back to Godhead. 2026 Ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all, with one love, one heart, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our beloved speaker, His Grace ADVAITA-ACARYA, Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all. Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare
Mancha kalpa
Mancha
tarunyascha, pasendavya evacha,
Vasendavya
Kitana
Ivata
pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo
Vaishnavyo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to His Grace ADVAITA-ACARYA Prabhu Ki Jai. All glories to His Holiness Bhakti-Tirtha Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Jagat Guru Param Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Samud Vaishnava devotees Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.